TJ Hockenson is inching closer to a return for the Minnesota Vikings this season. The Minnesota Vikings are 4-0 and have done that without one of the top five tight ends in football. So to have him coming back soon is a big deal. Kevin O'Connell told reporters on Wednesday that tight end TJ Hockenson will travel to London with the team and take part in Friday's practice, which means that he's a step closer to returning for the Minnesota Vikings this season. This opens up a 3-week window for Hawkinson to practice with the team, and he can be activated at any point within that window. Hawkinson tore his ACL against the Lions last year, a day before Christmas, on Christmas Eve. There's a big controversy whether Kirby Joseph's hit was illegal, whether it was legal. Minnesota Vikings fans got a little offended by the hit by Kirby Joseph, although what's he supposed to do? Go high and receive a $25,000 penalty for doing so? No. The NFL rewards defenders for going low, and if that tears an ACL, well, if I was a player, I would turn back towards the NFL and be like, you know what? These are the guidelines and rules that you set for me, and results that occur in torn ACLs and torn MCLs are just a part of the thing. So it's exciting to have him back because TJ Hockenson has solidified himself as a very great weapon in the NFL. And I'm sure when he comes back for the Minnesota Vikings this season, it's going to be in a smaller role. He's not going to play every down. He's not going to be a first, second, third down guy. It's probably going to be a situation where it's a passing play on a 3rd and 6, and the Minnesota Vikings need to get some yardage. They're not going to put him out there to block Aaron Jones. He's not going to be an every down player right now as he returns to game speed for the Minnesota Vikings. But it is another weapon for the Vikings offensively. And Sam Darnold loves his tight ends, and TJ Hockenson is a massive target. And when you throw out a guy like TJ Hockenson back onto the Minnesota Vikings roster with players already like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, well, it just takes the pressure off of those guys. And the Minnesota Vikings offense has already been elite this year without Hockenson. So with him, you would think that it even becomes even more dangerous. And you look at what they did against the Packers. They scored 31 points. They scored 34 points against the Houston Texans, although lots of these points are because the Minnesota Vikings defense got turnovers and really put the Minnesota Vikings offense in a great position to score. So even though TJ Hockenson is returning, it doesn't necessarily mean that the Minnesota Vikings offense is going to score more points, although it makes the offense more dangerous and it puts more fear, more pressure on opposing defensive coordinators and defenses. So this is a very good thing. And TJ Hockenson, he won't play in London. It sounds like he will either play against the Detroit Lions following the Minnesota Vikings bye week or the Los Angeles Rams. My bet would be that he plays against the Los Angeles Rams, especially if the Minnesota Vikings defeat the Jets. You know, they're 5-0 going into the Lions game. Give him that extra week so that, you know, he can rest up, heal up, and be ready to go. Get some practice reps in, get some time with Sam Darnold, do the whole thing, and all that. So it's exciting to have TJ Hockenson back into the fold, back practicing with the Minnesota Vikings. So good news for the Minnesota Vikings and TJ Hockenson and Kevin O'Connell, and bad news for every other team in the NFC North and for every other team that the Minnesota Vikings are going to face this season. Make sure you check out Hochland Farm Beef. Hochland Farm has the best rotationally grazed 100% grass-fed beef. This beef is sold in quarters and halves, and they have custom sample packs so you can try before you buy. 952-491-1541. My wife and I have Hochland Farm Beef, and it was $4.15 a pound. We went to Walmart, looked at their chuck roast beef, and it was $7.15 a pound. It is ridiculous. This is the best grass-fed beef. It makes sense. It's cheaper. It tastes better, and it's healthier for you. 952-491-1541. Tell Hokeland Farm that you heard about it on the Minnesota Tim podcast and get 20% off your first order today.